listening to the Art of Homeschooling podcast, where we help parents cultivate creativity and connection at home. I'm your host, Jean Miller, and here on this podcast, you'll find stories and inspiration to bring you the confidence you need to make homeschooling work for your family. Let's begin. Hey, friend, and welcome to episode 72, You're on a Journey Too. Today, I want to talk about mindset, really mindset and mindfulness. Mindset refers to your frame of mind as you go about this whole homeschooling journey. The official definition of mindset is your established set of attitudes. Now, last week, on episode 71, I talked about how homeschooling is really mindset plus action. And in today's episode, I want to give you a bit of a pep talk here. I want to encourage you to give your mindset some focused attention. My hope is that when you finish listening to this episode, you can step into some daily practices that strengthen your mindset first, so that when you go to take more intentional action in your homeschool, you can do it from that place of intentionality. Then your confidence can grow as you go. As homeschooling parents, we are so often focused on the action part, right? What curriculum to purchase, how to plan those lessons, how to engage our children in meaningful and active and memorable ways. And that's all super important. But sometimes we get left out in the cold. And one reminder we need to hear, I think, over and over again is this: you're on a journey too. Homeschooling is not just all about the children. When I talk to homeschooling parents in my one-on-one mentor sessions or in my membership community, I find over and over again that we as homeschoolers, and I include myself in this, we tend to overcomplicate things while feeling inadequate and perpetually behind. Is that you, perhaps? It certainly was me. First, know that you're not alone. And second, know that it's important. It really starts with recognizing how these tendencies can erode our confidence rather than build it up. It's exactly the opposite of what we want. The tendency to overcomplicate, feel inadequate, and feel constantly behind, those aren't getting us to where we want to go. So the first question is this: how do we as parents recognize that there is a huge mindset component in everything we do? To acknowledge that how we show up with our children each day is tied to our mindset, to our thoughts and feelings that we bring with us. Because our attitudes and reactions matter. Our day-to-day actions are really shaped by our mindset. Some say that success is 90% mindset. Isn't that fascinating? Others say 80%, but either way, that's a big chunk. Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker, says, and this is a quote, "I've found it's 80% psychology and 20% skills." Now, I've read another statistic along these lines that experts agree success is 10% knowledge, 10% community, and 80% mindset. That's been my experience for sure. And so the question then becomes, how do we give our mindset the attention it deserves? How do we lean toward an abundance or growth mindset for ourselves personally on our journey? Well, let me just say, inward is the path, my friend, inward. Let's agree on the importance of mindset first, right? So agreed. And then we want to give it the attention it needs. I think the term inner work is such a good description here, because this path, this journey that we're on as a person, as parents, involves going inward and shining a light on our inner landscape and strengthening ourselves for the important work that we're doing in the world. When we become parents, and then when we choose to homeschool, we bring with us a whole host of life experiences up until that point, right? As well as personal tendencies that color how we respond to the world around us, how we respond to our children, our families, our relationships. And if we don't examine these, if we don't shine a light on that inner landscape, sometimes we end up repeating these old patterns and feeling like we're not really guiding things, right? We're not really guiding ourselves or our families in any enlightening direction. As one mom put it last year during the inner work journey, this is a group I lead every spring for parents. She said, I feel like I have a lot of luggage to unpack. And as we know, during our parenting and homeschooling journey, lots can happen, right? We get busy. Sometimes we deal with painful experiences, chronic illness, even tragedy sometimes. And having a basket full of strategies to help us deal with whatever life brings our way is so important. And I know from personal experience that we don't always think this way in the beginning of the journey. We often discover this as we go. There's so much that we're not in control of. I think parenting teaches that every single day. We realize probably day after day after day, oh, there's a lot less I'm in control of than I thought. But we are in control of our thoughts and feelings, and we can transform those thoughts when we give them a little love and attention, because the mind really responds well to whatever we choose to feed it. This is where inner work comes in. For me, I didn't embrace inner work at the beginning of my parenting journey, nor did I really get it at the beginning of my homeschooling journey. But when I found myself repeating certain patterns with my children, like ignoring their troublesome behavior until I couldn't stand it anymore and then yelling at them, that's when I recognized the need for inner work, the true need for inner work. I knew I couldn't keep ignoring myself in the homeschooling equation. I knew I wanted to be more mindful, more present, and better able to ride the wave of the daily ups and downs so that I could turn toward rather than away from things I didn't like, things I found unpleasant. And somehow I knew it wasn't going to be an overnight fix, right? That this might be a lifetime of work. So, mindfulness is a non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. And I knew that's what I wanted. But boy, did it take a long time to get there. I'm not even all the way there today, I would say. I have to admit that, because I think this mindfulness practice, it's really, that's it. It really is a practice. This inner work is really a lifetime affair. So there are many different ways to practice inner work these days. I'll share a few that have really worked for me in just a moment. But the key here is really the word practice. It's daily experiences that guide us and shape us into the parents we want to be so that we can stay strong for our family. Here are just a few of my favorite inner work practices that have nourished my inner self through the years. Listening to chants or beautiful music with uplifting lyrics, listening to guided meditations each day, Reading and memorizing poetry. This is one of my absolute favorites. Spending time in nature and just taking it in, just being and allowing it to soak in. Practicing acceptance of the full range of human emotions. I hope that list just sparks some ideas for you, because your relationship with yourself really sets the tone for every other relationship you have. And this is why I created the Inner Work Journey. It's a group that I lead every spring for parents who want to experience more acceptance and possibility. And we get to practice in a community so that we can share our struggles and our progress. You can find a link in the show notes if you want to learn more. Every year we start on the equinox. I hope this episode has given you some ideas for how you might craft daily practices of inner work for yourself. I honestly believe that we are a part of something bigger than we even know. And we can find joy on this homeschooling journey and this parenting journey. It's really the best path of self-development that I know of. If you need a little more of a boost, I link to some more blog posts and podcast episodes that you could read or listen to in the show notes. These include, here are just a few of them: Inspiration Overwhelm, 7 mantras for homeschooling parents, equanimity is our goal as homeschooling parents, how to face your homeschooling fears, and starting where you are each time. Thanks so much for tuning in today. You can find those show notes to this episode with links to all the resources I mentioned at artofhomeschooling.com/episode 72. That's all for today, my friend. But here's what I want you to remember. Rather than perfection, let's focus on connection. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Art of Homeschooling podcast.